something crosses the road. It's skeletal like, fleshy, and it stands up, and then it like kind of just almost like leaps.
They look back and they see one. Clear as day. It walked 5 feet away from my audio recorder. We just saw a Bigfoot. Holy crap.
I've been pinched, I've been tapped on the shoulder, I've had my name hollered, a hand came up underneath my left arm. I said, little son of a bitch tried to get me. That was the time that I decided you don't sleep inside that building.
Did you see that?
The cowcur, it's big, it's white, and it runs faster than any man could ever run. And it would lean out behind the tree. And that's why we never go out, because the booger will get you.
Welcome to another episode of the Spawning Man. I'm Luke.
I'm Dustin.
I wasn't actually going to do it. I was just messing around.
Well, you know, I'm an asshole, so.
Yeah, keep it up. We are the host with the most ghost.
That's absolutely correct. Today we had on an amazing special guest. Her name is Amber Dawn. She is a psychic medium. But before we get into that, Luke's got to do some podcast mentions.
Don't forget to go to the website and explaininganonpod.com. We have a donation section through Cash App and PayPal. If you would like to support the show, please send us some money and help support the show. In the text box below, type a would you rather question and we will explore that on a future episode. We have an affiliate link down in the description to Ghost Op. That also helps support the show. And while you're on the website, we have a contact section. You can contact us if you have any encounters and would like to be on the show. Please send us an email, and there's a chance you'll be on a future episode. PA Bigfoot Camping Adventure, September 6th and 7th in Farmington, PA will be there, selling merch, recording podcasts, and scheduling podcasts for the future. Don't forget to go check out our YouTube, subscribe, and hit the bell button for more notifications every time we post an episode. And while you're there, please share it as well. That's all for the podcast mentions.
That's all for the podcast mentions. Like I said, today's special guest is none other than the amazing psychic medium, Amber Dawn. Today, she's going to dive deep into her understandings of her abilities and share her fascinating journey as a psychic medium.
We fall into this and we're like, oh no, we can't record.
Right.
That's all right. I can always use a take two. But anyway, all right. So,
but yeah, I remember we had talked a little bit there at the festival about a little instance that I had over at another vendor's table when I was having a little trouble dealing with it, and I've noticed we actually had another medium come on recently, and this is something that happened right before. Sorry, I'm dealing with it currently at the moment. So what happens to me is I feel like my heart rate increases. I get jittery. I feel like I'm getting ready to step on stage in front of 100 million people. And it happened the last medium we had on, and it happened before you hopped on, and it is currently happening right now.
I can feel it. Like I'm getting like a little bit jittery. Yeah. So what do you want to know about that? What do you want to talk about that?
Well, what is it, and how do I calm it down?
Okay, so I remember we talked a bit at the festival about meditating and about guided meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing I usually recommend to somebody. I recommended that to a client today at our event today. So if you look up a guided meditation, YouTube or anywhere, you will get somebody kind of telling you a story, kind of walking you through something, which I find is much more accessible to people than, say, like the Buddhist or the hardcore transcendental meditations where you're silencing your thoughts. A lot of people have trouble with that. It's valid if you can do it, great. But so the accessible way to kind of do that is to look up a guided meditation. So when you're doing that, what you're doing is you're feeling your own energy, okay? So that when, first of all, in that state, you can receive messages, you can receive your own guidance from your guides as to what you should be doing, and like why is this happening to you, right? It's something I struggle with, and I have read books by other people who struggle with, like, what is the purpose of these gifts, right? Like, what do I do with? So the shortest answer is I don't know. There's the getting into the longer answer is, yeah, you have to ask your guides, like, what are you being called to do? You'll hear people talk in this wider worldwide community about being called to do things. So when I started offering readings professionally, and the way I put it in my own mental narrative is, when I'm doing readings for strangers, like when I started doing readings for strangers, basically because for years and years it was friends or friends of friends, but to actually like advertise and offer readings to the public, right? It was a huge decision for me because I'm like, what's the point? What am I in it for? Am I trying to make money? Not particularly. There's like not a huge amount of money in this. So what am I doing it for? And that's something that you have to really look inside yourself and, ask your guides and do what we call shadow work, which is looking at your blocks. Like, why am I afraid of this? Why do I get this? One of your questions would be, why does it feel so jumpy? And that's an uncomfortable feeling, right? Like, that's not like a good way to, first of all, to listen, to be in that receiving mode. If you're so worked up, you're not listening, right? You have to be calm to be listening. So if you can, I'm feeling like, again now, like this urge of, let me see if I can read it. Because it's reading anxiety, but not in like a panic attack way. I think that was absolutely the way you put it about like going on in front of stage. Like it's almost like it could be a good thing, right? It could be exciting and fun, but you're clenching your jaw about it, right? Like it's almost like your mind's excited.
I've been actually clenching my jaw a lot these last few days.
Yeah, your jaw is clenched, right? But you're trying to be open. So. This is your question. What can you do to calm that down? And like that leads to the question, like, why is it that instead of something less uncomfortable? I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. Does that answer that?
Yeah, I think so. With that being said, can I say something crazy?
I hear, this is my job, sweetie. I hear crazy stuff all day. This is what I do. Yes, please tell me.
So in the midst of all that happening, right before you hopped on here, I started singing a song that I wouldn't normally sing, and I felt it had to do with you. And because you're well, first off, is it okay to say your full name?
Sure.
Okay, so the song was Delta Dawn, but the words were replaced with your name.
What was the first part of it? What to Dawn?
Delta Dawn, the song.
Hold on, you cut out a little bit again. As soon as you go to say the name of the song, it cuts out. Okay.
See, they don't want me to tell you.
It's like blank the dawn. What?
Delta Dawn.
Delta.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Delta Dawn. Okay, I've never heard of it.
Oh, you've never heard of it?
Mm.
Okay, I don't know. I was singing it, and I felt like the words were replaced with your name, and I felt like it had something to do with you. I felt like I was like in that moment, so I wanted to see if there was any validation there.
Oh, sure. Well, the validation is not in my recognizing the song because it's your synchronicity.
Mm-hmm.
So me not knowing that song doesn't have anything to do with it, but you getting that feeling, it was probably telling you, and this is a great way to talk about synchronicities. What are they telling us when we have these feelings and we see things like the basic one is like seeing numbers all the same on the clock or something, right? Or it's a song playing at the right time. It happens to me all the time. A song will come on my playlist while I'm doing a reading that it like, well, it takes the words out of my mouth. Like it's something that I was like thinking about saying, and I go like, I'll just say what the song's like. Okay, yes, this is. So yeah, what does it mean to you? And so since it was happening and you were getting that feeling, right? I think that's telling you I'm going to have something that's going to help you. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to have something to say about this that is useful to you. And that's how you interpret synchronicities. I have a cardinal will just come in my yard at the correct moment where I need a little bit of like reminder of something, and so not every bird in your backyard. Look at me, I have 6 huge trees in my yard. Not every bird in my backyard is a message, but some of them are.
Right. And I think whenever they are.
Exactly. It's my interpretation. It's your interpretation, right?
Right. So what do you do if in a reading, like how do you handle that whenever somebody doesn't click with what you're saying?
I ask more questions.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the times I'll start out a reading with statements. So I'll, you want a general reading or, even if you have a specific question, but I'll pull cards, flip them over, take a moment to consider them, and then I will ask you questions. So like say we'll use something obvious. We got the death card. Okay. So what has changed or what is presently changing depending on the position? Because for me, the positions most of the time will be reflective of like the timing of it, right? Like there's like the past position, the future position, right? But I'm reading those cards in relation to the central cards. So what is the central issue and how are like the past and the future or like your foundation and your possibilities, right? How are those affecting whatever we're talking about now? So if I get the death card, what has changed? If I get the tower card, what has drastically changed? So if I get the lover's card, I'm going to ask you, are you in a relationship? And you know what I mean? To determine like, if that's what we're talking about, because the lover's card can be in relation to a romantic relationship, a business partnership. A lot of the times, and I pulled it earlier today for somebody, where it meant them, your own balance. So yeah, in tarot, there's all this symbolism, right? Which is another reason why it resonates with me, because again, I see things, right? And I always say like I'm a visual learner. If somebody has to explain something to me that involves numbers, I'm like, write it down. Like I can't just like, it's like I'm a visual learner. So I want to take these out. So, all right. So if I see the death card and you get this card also, this is grief, right? So I'm going to ask you, what are you grieving? Right? And even then it doesn't necessarily mean literal death. A friend of mine had a stroke last year. She's my age and she had a stroke, and it was really upsetting. And it was like a death. It was a huge change in her life. So, okay, so we have the lovers, we have these naked people. Oh, don't put naked people on YouTube. But okay, so I had somebody get these 2 cards today. The lovers and the devil. Ooh, nobody wants that. Look, they're in bondage, right? So it's like the same couple. They're in bondage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how could these sort of opposite cards relate to each other? Well, this is what she needed to be aiming for to be, and it was at the top position, right? And this was in the middle. What is she now? She's unbalanced. She is bound and restricting herself. So I look at the cards and I figure out what story we're talking about. So if I would have said, when I say something that doesn't resonate with people, I start asking more questions. Okay, so what are we talking about? Because and that's what there are clients that are better and worse, and if you want to get the most out of your tarot reading, you need to give feedback, right? If I'm looking at this and I'm coming up with a narrative that I'm, and I'm looking at you, and if the person's just looking at me, I'll ask, is this making sense to you? Because I need that feedback. They have to say, yes, that's correct, right? So that's why I start out with statements, right? And if the statements don't resonate, okay, well, here's a question. Okay, what are we talking about? And then go from there, because you have to, especially when, a lot of the times people don't have a specific question and they just want to see what it's about. And that's part of, what it being more, I hate to say trendy, but it is people, like you said, watching it all over people are all over TikTok doing it. And I don't see there's anything wrong with that. It's becoming more mainstream. I'm able to be witchy on Main Street, literally sit there in the park and do this for money. That's great. I'd love to see it. When I was a kid, in the 90s, that was crazy. You didn't talk about this stuff with somebody's parents. You know what I mean? And I get people, who are older than me all the time. It's become so that's
right.
That's what I'm glad to see that it's on TikTok and things like that. So people are coming to me and saying oh, I wanted to try it. I've seen it on the internet and I wanted to try it.
Yeah.
Nobody says the internet. That I saw it on the internet. Nobody says that. I'm aging myself. Next, I'm gonna say, are you taping this?
What's the most?
I'm outside my house and there's a tractor, a big tractor thing happening. Okay. Okay, now I can hear it.
What's the most surprising message that you've received from the other side?
Cardinal just flew into my field of vision here. So, the most surprise. Okay, so I'll say the one that happened to me when I was in the process of realizing that Loki was with me, and realizing that this path is not it's not a hobby, it's my path. You know what I mean? And I asked, mentally, is this always going to be a ridiculous struggle? Because we were trying to move to Johnstown and it was roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And I was is this always going to be a ridiculous struggle? And again, and this was one of the times that I auditorily heard it, clairaudience, and mentally saw it, just a resounding yes. I was very surprised. You think of spirit guides as being it'll be, something more positive, like a guardian angel or something. And I'm is it always going to be ridiculous obstacle after obstacle? And he was yes.
That's crazy.
I was surprised. I was okay, well, So what the hell am I supposed to do about that? Well, long term was at that time, I needed to stop being so desperate to move. I had to just wait. And that turned out to be the exact correct thing to do, because the house that we got ended up getting price dropped into our range. And because I didn't do anything desperate, it worked out, right? I needed to start talking to people in real life about spirituality. I didn't want to do that. I really didn't want to do that. I'm like, can I just study and learn everything I can about world religions? And no, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. So I had to do a lot of shadow work and take the advice that I just gave to you. Figure out for myself, what the hell is the point of this? Why can I see things and hear things, because I don't externally see things with my eyes. Like, I have seen ghosts and I've seen like distortions in the air and shadows and stuff. Some people literally will like say that they visually see ghosts a lot. And, that's the difference between people's gifts. And yeah, I'm going to put gifts in quotation marks, because that was that big, spiritual revelation of mine that like, I have to do something about it or I'm going to go crazy, just like receiving all these messages and not knowing the point and not understanding what it's for. The sun. So yeah, that's the most surprising message, basically, is that like, this is your life, that it's going to be crazy and it's going to be messy. Buckle up, right? Like, and okay.
Right.
Buckle up and be freaking patient. Be patient, because I get so impatient. So
your story sounds a lot like my current position. Like, me and my wife, we want to move. We want to get a better house and more space. And I've been very impatient with the process, and we've been talking about it and thinking about it for the last couple of years. Like, we don't have great internet here and things like that. So like, all the things that I would like to do in life and all the goals that I would like to achieve are more at a disadvantage of achieving them because of lack of internet, and we need to move to get better internet. So but yeah, they've been telling me that I just need to just chill out. It'll happen. Just need to wait.
Yeah. I mean, that's most of the mistakes I've made, because I don't really believe, huge mistakes in life. Like, you're always learning, right? But like, most of the missteps or misturns, let's say, that I've taken in my life have been for desperation. Because, and I don't mean like for money or whatever, like mental desperate, like I need this so badly now.
Yeah.
That I can't wait for the perfect situation. I need to act now. And that's where I fuck up. So try not to do that.
Yeah.
But it's hard. I constantly,
I think a lot of the times I know what the right answer is, but I always choose the opposite, because it's almost like I think I know better than my own knowing.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
Like going with your intuition is trite. Let's say that, follow your intuition. But it's the number one advice I give people, like, because people are just like, I want to do this, but this, and they get in their own ways of progress. So like, what's gonna, the question I'll put to them in the cards and my reading of them, like, what is gonna get you through this to the next thing? And it's almost always like that. Like, I won't have to say specific. I'll be like, that thing you need to walk away from it. Like, people start crying, like, oh my God, I needed to hear that so bad. It's right there. Like, most of the time people know exactly what they need to do, and they're just not doing it for whatever reason. And you know what? Honestly, that's a great time to get a tarot reading, like, because you're going to hear an outside opinion.
Right.
Because people in their own heads, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, I know we talked about like meditation, and do you think that that's how, like, a way that people can become more in tune with their intuition and spiritual side?
That's right. Because so so the second thing I tell people after meditation is some kind of energy center practice. So like the your chakras or the Kabbalistic tree of life, um, because you need to be aware of your own energy.
Mm-hmm.
So the meditation is a way to calm yourself. Hopefully that's the goal, right? Calm yourself one way or another into being able to receive and be open to receiving outside messages, right? So how do you have the discernment to know what is your own mind and what's an outside message?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be in touch with your own energy to feel, how can I put this? It's like the combination of writing and reading, right? You have to, it comes at the same time, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have to feel your own energy to feel the outside energy, right? To be able to write yourself, you need to be able to read. So it goes hand in hand. So you're doing these things at the same time as reading. Learn how to read your own energy and your own guides' messages. That's
Yeah.
the, step 1 and 2, or step 1A and B. You know what I mean? Because then start, doing it on purpose, right? That's the other thing. Like, because you're doing it randomly, it's coming up randomly. You're getting that feeling and certain messages randomly, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, that's never gonna stop. Like, you'll still get stuff randomly, but like, to be able to direct those senses at another person and interpret them, you need to be able to direct your senses inward and be able to determine what's going on with your own self.
Yeah.
You should tell her what you told me the other day about like being at the beach when you started meditating.
So yeah, I would like to develop these abilities, and I've been looking into mediumship meditations, and there was one that I went through where the video had said to put yourself into a scene, and I decided to pick a beach theme, and I'm just chilling out in this beach, and then things started happening. People started showing up, and they gave, like, I just knew things about these beings. I knew their name, I knew characteristics of them, their mannerisms, and it was odd.
So it's basically exactly what I was describing.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong in saying that was like pretty much what I said?
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Yeah, exactly. Receiving those messages, that's a big part of the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's something you'll know what you're doing. I go back to my meditation places all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that you just do for a while and then don't do anymore. It's an ongoing thing.
That's what I struggle with, is routine. I can't make it I can't make any kind of routine, it seems.
I know. I really suck at it too. I really do. And that's why, when I'm receiving messages, like, I always try to have like a notebook on me, because I'll receive it, or I'll kind of, enter into that meditation. What do I want to say? Phase? No. What do you call that? The brain space? I don't know. There's a better word for it than that, but I'm forgetting right now. But entering that zone, you try to take stuff back with you, and just writing it down is like one of the only ways. Some people, you can take voice notes. But yeah, as far as like, I have a friend, shout out to Michelle if she watches this, who is very disciplined with her routine, and she just published a book of her channeled writings, right?
Oh, nice.
And yeah, because she's got this great routine and like all this discipline, and I don't. So I just catch it when it comes. And if like I will have, so like I'm pretty like with moon phases and stuff like that. Like I will feel, um, called to write more. You know what I mean? Like when it's the dark phase of the moon, I'll be more called for quieter and more inner work, more shadow work. When it's a full phase of the moon, I want to be chatting with people, you know. And yeah, so me and my notebook is like my biggest spiritual tool, I would say, is because I have to bring these things into the third dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Did we talk about that yet? Like I kind of refer to like the third dimension is where we are. The fifth dimension is where the non-human person sort of energy is, right? And we have to meet in the middle in the fourth dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the dream space, the magic space. That's where, you know, the liminal space in between consciousness and not.
Yeah. Now, do you have a lot of dreams? Like, do you remember your dreams?
Yeah, I do. And I got a tarot message in my dream the other day. I pulled the King of Wands in a dream. And then I woke up like, what was the King of Wands for? What was that? And like I didn't remember any other cards. And I always say like it's so hard for me to tell anything from one tarot card. So I was kind of pissed at like that I only remembered the one. I was like, was that it? Like, or was I redoing a reading? And but like, so yeah, I you know, bits. I remember bits of dreams always, but sometimes I will remember like a longer narrative. So yeah, I used to. So one of the practices I learned when I was a kid, basically, was to look at your hand and ask yourself if you're dreaming. So I'm looking at my hand. Am I dreaming? Am I dreaming? Am I dreaming? This is a lucid dreaming technique. And you do it randomly throughout the day, like whenever you remember, or you can, you know, set a reminder to do it. But I would just do it randomly whenever. And then you'll start doing it in your dreams.
Oh.
You'll looking at your hand to see if you're dreaming. And then in the dream, theoretically, you're like, oh, I am dreaming. So I learned that lucid dreaming technique when I was very young, and I did it for the next decade. I had really vivid lucid dreams after that. Yeah, say I did it when I was about 14, so about 24. And then I had my dad passed away around then. I was about like 25. And I had a few terrible nightmares about him. And I must have flipped an unconscious switch in my mind because I stopped lucid dreaming and I stopped remembering my dreams for like a long while. And then a couple years after that, because this was a long time ago now, a couple years after that, I started the technique again. And I had brutal, bloody nightmares. I was like, what? I don't, and I didn't understand why. So just recently, within the past 6 months, I've started it again. And I have started remembering more dreams, and it hasn't been bloody disgusting in there. So I don't know if that was something going on with me at the time. Apparently, I did not need to remember whatever was going on in my unconscious because it wasn't pretty, I guess. I don't know. Again, I don't know why these things happen. You know, you have to decide what they mean. And for me, that told me that like I didn't need to remember or be like an interact, whatever was happening in my subconscious, like had to happen without my consciousness. It was too brutal, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you ever encountered a spirit that was difficult to communicate with, or like how did you handle that?
What do you mean difficult?
I mean, difficult as in like maybe in a reading they just didn't want to communicate, or even if maybe they were just angry. How did that come through?
So when I'm doing a reading for someone and their spirits come through to me, most of the time it's in love, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes in frustration. For reading a person's energy, I haven't really gotten anyone who had anything with them that was like angry at them, right? There's
Mhm.
dark things, there's darker, like more vampire-y energies that people can have with them, and I can identify that and say, like, look, here's what you need to do about that. In haunted places, I have run across angry things, right? So I guess that's why I asked, like, difficult how. And like also when doing a reading for a person, I don't ever force something that isn't already happening, right?
Mhm.
So I had a haunted house call where I went and was reading the people and the place, right? And they suspected that the guy's mom was like doing some poltergeist activity, and they were smelling like her Bath and Body Works cucumber melon smell, and some dishes were like flying off the counter and cupboards were opening and stuff like that. It wasn't the mother doing the poltergeist activity beyond, I think that was her smell, right? But the house had this just disgruntled energy, right? And somehow, again, I don't know how, it builds up enough to affect physical matter.
Mhm.
And so that's what you have to like kind of chill out. And so it's not usually angry, it's usually frustrated, or like
Mhm.
somebody's, mother that passed will be with them and it's frustrating. Why are you not making the choice that is right?
Right.
Because again, it goes back to most of the time people know what they need to do, and for some reason they're not doing it. Something's holding them.
Yeah.
For some reason they're not doing it. So a person's deceased person will be like, they'll show me them going like, you know what I mean? Like next to the
Yeah.
person. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like something like that, Why are you doing the thing? Like, so, yeah, I mean, sometimes that's how I know a person has like a block. Is
Yeah.
there something with them will let me know that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did that answer the question? I got
Yeah. No, I think it did. Yeah, I got a couple more questions if you got a little bit more time. Now this one you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I'm curious. What do you believe happens when we die? Like after we
oh,
die?
yeah, that that's a great question. I don't know.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow.
That, in case you couldn't tell, that's my short answer for everything. I just, but I do have a longer answer, which is okay. So somehow living persons, through keeping a memory alive, through the energy that they shared with that person, through us, it could be a soul connection, that part of a deceased person can stay with the living people,
Mhm.
right? Something about a house can store energy of a living person, Earth has its own non-human persons, right? Its own spirits. You hear about land spirits, things like that. Okay, so land spirits, especially we live in Pennsylvania, the blood-soaked ground that we are on.
Yeah.
It can be very restless. It can be very confused, trapped energy, right? So when a place has something like that, it can keep somehow parts of human energy, human consciousness, right? The rest of you moves on, I believe, right? So I believe part of you, like I personally don't believe the soul stays whole as we know it within ourselves, right? After we die, I think it scatters, right? So I think some of it stays here, some of it goes and gets reincarnated, right? I think of it like the oversoul, right? Like it's not like you necessarily just stay in your little, you go up to heaven in your little orb. If there's anything wrong with that, if that's what you believe. No, I'm talking about what I believe. I don't think you just pull an entire go somewhere. I think you scatter, right? Some of you's here, some of you's back out in the oversoul or the universe or the collective consciousness, whatever you want to talk about it. And I think some of it always stays there and then some of it will come back. And I think that's why we have some access to that plane. Like part of me has already been here and lived and died. Part of me, my soul, right? Already been here, lived, died, gone back, and been part of the universe. And then, so some of it stayed there, and some of it stayed there, and some of it's down here. And as I'm down here, I'm gathering more to my soul to be then scattered and collected again.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's what I think happens when you die. But I don't, especially within that belief, there's so much room for personal belief. There's so much room. What do you think? Like, if you're convinced that you're going to go to hell when you die, your soul is going to be weighed down by that. You know what I mean? Like when you go scatter, that's going to be very heavy. It's going to stay more like earthbound. And wouldn't that be the, Christian or Muslim or idea of hell is like being trapped where you were so miserable that you were convinced you were going to hell.
Yeah.
So by that logic, then you've created your own hell.
Right.
If you think you're earning your way to some sort of afterlife, like I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
Now that theory that you said with like the separating of the soul, like it goes in different places. Do you think that could be the reason why, say, there could be different hauntings of different locations where the same person's at? Like maybe I died and I'd like to go to this place, so say I haunt there, but where I'm at now, since this is my home, I haunt here. Maybe there's somewhere else I'd like to be. Do you think that could be the reason why there could be multiple different hauntings of the same person in one spot?
Yeah, that's the very spirit of what I'm talking about, is scattering. Yeah, it's not, I don't think you just wholly just go somewhere, right? So my friend and I, we did an investigation of my house, which I don't recommend because you got to sleep here afterwards, right? in your own house. Like I don't recommend like investigating your own house, especially when it's a 100-year-old farmhouse that damn well is haunted. So then when my friend and I get together to do this spirit box investigation, like she's already psychic too. So she was doing the thing with the spirit box on headphones. And like she was saying to me out loud, and then I was asking questions that she couldn't hear. Right. So it was like that kind of blind spirit box. And she was like, it was like Professor X when he puts on Cerebro. just like her already gifts that she already had were just amplified, right? Like it was wild. And so we got, more specific stuff like infos about the ghosts that I already knew were here. So for example, there's one who's a young man, right? He lived here and he had to leave here. He had to go to war. He never came back. So why is he here? Well, because he felt terrible that he wasn't here for his family. And so he has taken on like a guardianship role here. So for whoever it is, he is a very helpful spirit. But yeah, I do not believe this entity died here. Yeah. I think they died very far, like World War II far, like Europe far, like, and they came back here. Yeah. So yeah, but so for me, when he was talking to me, on my own, it was more just like I saw this like young man in my mind's eye, like this young man being helpful and like coming here, right? But then so we were able to sort of, with the spirit box and with both of us, we're able to sort of put this narrative together. Again, you look at clues, it's like tarot cards. You like look at clues, and you put it together and make sense of it.
Yeah. I just found out recently, the last couple of years, and I guess that's not really recently, but in the last couple of recent years, somebody had passed here at my house. Found out randomly. It was very odd, and it's interesting because the place that I was told that this gentleman had passed away, I feel the most uneasy in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you did that tarot reading for my dad at that festival, and you said he's going to be on crutches, but you didn't say anything recently because you already knew he was on crutches. But then a couple weeks later, I told you, hey, my dad's going to get surgery on his leg for the script.
Yeah. So my biggest issue is like I get down on myself whenever I don't have validation or something doesn't connect with whoever it is that I'm doing the reading for. So then I'm like, oh well, you don't have the ability. You know what I mean?
Get the imposter syndrome. Oh yeah, no. Sometimes here's my imposter syndrome is like I'm like, am I just like reading body language? And I'm like some kind of secret genius mentalist, like. It's one of those, like, that's the least likely explanation for what's happening.
Sometimes.
No, I can't like that. I'm like, how am I reading somebody's dead person who I say, something super specific about their like dead grandma? Like I didn't read that in the body language. That's ridiculous, right? So invalidate your own invalidation. That's what really think about that. Does it make sense that you're just making all of this up, or does it make more sense that some shit's actually happening to you? Probably should actually happen to you.
Right. But before we get off here, what's one message you wish everyone could receive from the other side?
Try to make your energy lighter. That's what they tell me all the time. And, people ask me, like, what does this deceased person that you're saying is with me, what do they feel about this decision that I'm making? Should I sell my dad's tractor? What does dad think about that in the afterlife? Dad wants you to be happy. He wants your soul to be lighter so that when you die, it's not just trapped here. So you can scatter properly. You know what I mean? Because they know how trivial stuff like that is. They can most of them can appreciate how important it is to us. Like, okay, it's, the tractor's sentimental. I can get $10,000 for it. That's going to make a difference in my life. Then go ahead. You know what I mean? They don't care about the physical tractor. They don't care about you having $10,000. They care about you being okay. Whether it's happy or just copacetic or just not weighed down and miserable and so down on yourself. So yeah, that's most of the time what people's unseen persons, whether that's gods or guides or deceased people, that's what they want you to know, is like, it's okay. Like, you can let go.
It's not so serious.
It's not that serious. Yeah. Once you're like part of the universe, man, once you realize you're a speck of dust in the universe, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Right.
See, I believe my
So
pap.
how? Sorry, Lou. Go ahead.
I believe my grandpa is around all the time because my 2-year-old daughter, well, she'll be 2 next month. She always looks up in the corner and says, "Pap, pap, pap, pap." And he died like 10 years ago with cancer. And the day she was born, my grandma called me crying. She's like, "Your pap just visited me, and he said he's very proud of you." And ever since then, I feel like he's been here more, around more.
Yeah.
And my fiance, when we first got together, we were on vacation and she was sleeping, and she said the name. In her sleep, she said Pete, and that was my pap's name. And I was like, "Who's Pete?" And she's like, "I don't know. This man just came up to me and said Pete. Tell him Pete say hi." And I woke her up and I was like, "Who is Pete?" She's like, "I don't know." So I showed him a picture of her. I showed her a picture of him, and she never seen him before. She died like 10 years ago. And she's like, "Yeah, that was him."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, if the question is that valid? Yes, that's completely valid. I mean, you know that she didn't just know that, she didn't just see him. You know, your 2-year-old daughter doesn't know what the hell. It's everything's abstract when you're 2, so it's not a lie, right? It's like they're obviously seeing something. That's how I feel. Not to compare your kid to a dog, but dogs sometimes will like look in corners and stuff. Like, what the fuck are you looking at? And it's like, no. But you know what I mean? Like, and they're not lying. They have no motivation to like lie or make anything up. You know what I mean? So like, that's the kind of, it's genuine. Oh my gosh. Speaking of doggos, here comes my doggo. He just ran out to see me.
Aww.
So yeah, you know that these things that happen, like, that they're real, right? But there's this, ongoing narrative that what you feel isn't real.
Yeah. Oh, I slip in and out of that all the time.
Yeah.
I know. Well, yeah, I mean, and it happens to the rest of us. It happens to pros, you know what I mean? Like, you think like,
yeah,
why is this happening? Is this happening? Wait, yeah, this is totally happening. Wait, is it? Like, it's a lifelong thing.
There is something, I can't remember if I explained it to you when we were up there at the festival or not, but there's like this perception that I slip into every now and again, and it's usually random. And what it is, it's like I get into this perspective where I'm not human, and I see other humans and go, "Oh my God, human. There's a human. Mm-hmm. There's another human." Like, I don't connect. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, we're all spirits having a human experience. So that's you getting in touch with that part of yourself that isn't human, right? That is more than, right? That somehow some people are able to reach into that 4th dimension or that 5th dimension even. And I don't know why. I don't know why it is happening to you. I don't know why it's happening to me, but it's real. It's there, right? So how do we tap into it? Well, practicing, recognizing this, discernment. What are my own thoughts? What's a download? What's coming into me? What's, my ego doubt, and what's my instinct telling me not to do something, right? Is this that self-doubt, or is this actually something I shouldn't be doing? And, that's, you're going to feel when it's something you shouldn't be doing. It's like not, and I say shouldn't in quotes because, like, again, I don't really believe in making mistakes. Like it's all for your eventual knowledge. But you have to have that discernment of knowing that it's real, but like the questioning is, it's a lifelong journey. That's basically.
That's exactly it. Constantly learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, constantly learn and let yourself be surprised.
Yeah.
Don't ever. I always try not to make absolute statements. Or I'll put all those qualifiers on it. But I don't know. So yeah, I'll have an in-depth answer for what I think happens in the afterlife. But like, I will say I don't know because I don't know for sure. I don't have any like strong, fast, hard beliefs that I will never change. Like that.
Yeah.
Avoid that feeling of heaviness. If you're doing something that makes you feel heavy, you're probably doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The resistance.
Yeah, you'll feel it. If you're doing the wrong thing, you'll feel it. If you're fucking up, you'll be like, oh, maybe I'm fucking up. Yeah, you're probably fucking up.
I tell myself that all the time.
Well, figure it out. Why do I think I'm messing up all the time? Where does that come from? What am I afraid of? Why am I so afraid of messing up? What's wrong with messing up?
Yeah. Now, would you call that the shadow work? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Why do I feel this way? So yeah, why does it make you so nervous? And I mean, give yourself a break too. Like be easy with yourself because it is scary, unseen things are all around us. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
So be gentle with yourself. If you do this discovery and you find out like, yeah, I'm just genuinely scared. Accept that. Like, okay. All right, I'm scared. So what am I going to do about that? Am I gonna with my gifts and probably go nuts one day, or am I gonna face the fear, look into it? What's going on? Look into that unknown.
Explore the unknown.
Explore the unknown.
So, how can our listeners connect with you or book a reading?
Send me a message on the psychic plane, or Instagram. I sent you guys. You could put it in your notes or whatever. But I'm on TikTok. I just started on TikTok. It's kind of random right now, just because I'm getting my feet. But I hope to be doing like tarot stuff on there, both solo and with my business partner, because they have enough followers to go live, but I don't yet. So if you would like to tune into my random TikToks, there's that. But yeah, Instagram, people can find me there. If you would like a reading, you can DM me, or just enjoy my hilarious memes that I share, really. But yeah, if you want to tell me your crazy story, you can make an appointment with me. If you want to just test it out, usually the $20 readings are at the event, and that's like one question, topic, spread, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, reach out on Instagram, don't reach out on TikTok. Reach out on Instagram. Yeah, I can give you guys my email too.
Awesome.
So yeah, hit me up, follow me, all that stuff, because yeah, this is what I'm trying to do, is connect with people. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So help me help you. Hit me up.
Awesome. Absolutely. We'll be sure to put those in the show notes. That way people can find it easier.
Yeah, cool. Oh, and if you guys want to hit me up to like do investigations with you too, because I did mention I do like haunted house calls. We did touch on that when we met first too. Like, yeah, hit me up.
That's interesting because I see Luke smirking. We actually have a private investigation coming up at the Greene County Historical Museum, and him and I was talking about how it would be interesting to have a psychic medium go with us and try to do some experiments where like we would go in and check out the place and kind of compare notes.
yeah, I would definitely be down for that.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll be in touch
Yep,
then
and
for sure.
stay tuned for that, loyal viewers. All right.
Yeah, right. I like to book a tarot card reading with you whenever I get the extra money.
Oh yeah. Like I said, one spread, we keep our prices very affordable. So
Mhm.
$20. I'll tell you something. Give it a try. First, it's
Yeah.
it's when you want the in-depth stuff. You want me to talk to your ghosts. You want to tell me all your crazy stories. That's the hour-long reading. So, but you can get a little short one.
I like to do the hour-long one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the longer you want me, the more it costs. So if you're talking about
Yeah.
money,
Uh-huh.
our gallery readings are like very cost effective. Like it's a good way to just check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do that at events. So if you follow me on the Instagrams, you will see where I'm going to be at.
Awesome. Do you have anything coming up?
Well, the farmers market every Friday, Squonkapalooza. We're going to be there. We're going to be selling some retail stuff there, but we will also be offering readings. Last year, it was a zoo. It was a madhouse, so I didn't do a lot of readings because it just wasn't really that vibe. But yeah, so we'll be there. You can at least meet me, even if we don't get a chance to, because there's a circus going on behind us. Like you don't get a chance to ask me and talk to me about your personal stuff. Like sometimes it works out and sometimes we can do and sometimes it's just not the vibe, like everybody's. So yeah, we'll be there with the retail and the tarot, but yeah, every Friday we will just be hanging out in the park until it's cold outside.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for coming on. This was great. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, hopefully I'll talk to you guys soon.
See ya.
All right, see you later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Exploring Unknown. We really enjoyed talking to Amber about her psychic ability. I don't know how to do this without the podcast mentions now. Are we just gonna do how are we gonna do this now? Because I'm so used to since we did the podcast, are we just gonna wait? Are we still gonna do the podcast mentions in this episode or no?
I mean, we did them in the beginning technically, and then we had the conversation about having them at the end or in the beginning, or just either or the other.
Yeah, but the thing is, are we still gonna, for this episode, are we still gonna put them in the end, or are we just gonna wait to do that next week? Because after I say, hey there everyone, thanks for listening to Exploring the Unknown. Today we enjoyed talking to Dawn. Now, after that, I go into the podcast mentions. Now I'm all discombobulated because I'm not sure what I'm gonna say now.
Well, I think the thing is to be as real and organic as you can be. Like this right here, honestly, I think we should just leave in because it adds a personality to it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just being so cut and dry. Yeah. I enjoy talking to Amber. I did you see that, actually, speaking of tarot cards, did you see that movie on Netflix called Tarot? No,
I'll have to look it.
I want to watch it. It looks really good. But just talking about things that are relative like that, would be kind of just a way to end the, you know what I mean? Obviously we can cut this part out, but
just us bullshitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, next time we can do that. We can try maybe look up something during the week too, and maybe talk about at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Then do that would you other question as well.
Yeah. I do have something.
Do you have a would you other question ready?
I do. Do you want to do the would you rather question now?
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Would you rather have the ability to see into the future but never be able to change it, or have the ability to communicate with spirits but only for a limited time each day? don't know why I have my hands up like
Now,
that. I'm like playing
when
the
you talk
maracas.
about when you talk about communicating with spirits, are you talking about like on a psychic level, or are you talking about like in general, like say if we go ghost hunting, we're not going to be able to talk to spirits because it's not that time of day, or like I already used that time up. So like, how's that like? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I would say that like you have like an allotted amount of time each day to be able to talk to spirit, and however long that conversation is with that spirit would be.
That's hard because like you can use that time to get when you go something, but like if you just are starting to start communicating with a spirit, then you're losing your time right there. But my biggest thing is, are you still able to communicate with spirits? Maybe not like talking to them like in a psychic way when you go something. Like, are you still able to communicate through devices, or no?
That's a good question. I would say that using the devices isn't using your ability, but do you have the ability to turn it off?
Yeah, because like if you use it throughout the day, then when you go, like say you're going to go something that day, then you don't have it. I think I would rather go with the communicating with spirit.
Yeah. Communicate with spirits, but only for. Would you rather have the ability to see into the future but never be able to change it? That one would suck. That would suck tremendously.
Yeah, well, because like if you see something bad happening, you can't change it.
Yeah, just because of that, I think I would have to go with the ability to communicate with spirits, because I don't think that I would want that on my conscience. You know, it's like to know something is going to happen, like whether it's good or bad. Like if it's good, that's great, but if it's bad, you know, that's even worse, obviously. But
yeah, and you can't change it on top of that.
Yeah. You'd have to be given that news out with some good news too. It's like, well, bad news is you're gonna break your leg. Good news is you're gonna get $100 million by the time. But the bad news is it's not until you're 70.
Yeah, right.
Oh man. Well,
is that all you got for this episode?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't think I have anything else to add.
No, neither do I.
Well, see you all next week.
See ya.